Hi, we have Keyonna with us, and I'm going to ask her to introduce herself a little bit.
Hello, my name is Keyonna Willis, and I'm actually 40 years old. I have been suffering with CVS. I just said yesterday, it's kind of like my 3-year anniversary with CVS, if you want to call it an anniversary. Um, I have a 20-year-old son who's in his second year of college, and I'm actually recently engaged. So that's pretty much I'm no longer working because of CVS. So I did have a 20-year career at a company called in which I was a buyer, but at the moment I'm unable to work because of my condition. So I'm at home and I'm kind of episode free for these last couple months. So I'm enjoying my son being home from school, even though he wants to be at school. So that's kind of where I am right now.
Great, thank you. Congratulations on both your engagement and being episode free for a couple months. I know that's a huge celebration for anyone
Yes.
with CBS. And so you said your 3-year anniversary. Is that how long you've had the symptoms, or is that how long you've been diagnosed?
So I've probably been actually diagnosed. It probably took maybe a year and a half before I actually got diagnosed. So I I've been suffering from from the disease and the symptoms for 3 years.
And do you have something that attributes you to being episode free currently, or you're not entirely sure?
I believe that it's a medication, and it's called domperidone, and I kind of almost I hate to mention it because I don't know if when you suffer from CVS, it's almost like you don't know if it's a remission because I've been here before or if it's the actual medicine. But this has been the longest out of 3 years that I have been episode free. So I like to believe that it's probably from the medicine.
Yeah, that's great. And you're absolutely correct. I always tell people I'm cautiously hopeful because you just don't know for sure if it's truly the medication or if it's just a random happenstance. But I hope that's what it is for you. Can you describe a typical CVS episode for you?
When I read that question, I just wanted to say it's hell. I know it's like I'm able to smile now and actually, but it's painful. I mean, it's painful. It's crippling. I mean, it takes so much out of you. And it takes so much not only out of you but out of your family too. I think I'm a person who has always taken care of everybody else. So it's like you're suffering through an actual episode where your body is just, I feel like it's just out of control, right? You have pain coming from every which way. You're constantly throwing up nonstop. You can't eat anything. You can't drink anything. And then you see the faces walking in and out of the front room if you're laying on a couch, or your bedroom if you're laying in the bed. And it's just like, then you have that on top of, the actual physical suffering. So it's truly is hell.
Yeah, that's definitely a way I've heard a lot of people describe it. If there was one CVS symptom you could get rid of, what would it be?
It would be the vomiting. That's one thing that you can't hide from anybody. Um, I mean, when it's happening, it's just like it it's nonstop, and I just can't describe it. I mean, nobody likes throwing up or vomiting anyways. But to just not be able to just stop, and just it's just constant, and just the way it makes your body, like, feels, and it's so violent. And again, I mean, everybody around you, and then when you're in the emergency room, it's like you're doing that and people don't know what you have, and it's like everybody's already, moving away from you. And so it's like it's embarrassing at the same time too, if I can be honest, as crazy as that may sound to some people. um I mean, but it is. So I think that would be like the number one symptom that, yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough.
No, and we're happy for you to be completely honest. And it is embarrassing to vomit in front of other people. It's gross. I mean,
I mean, and
right?
I've been so like in
Who wants
episodes
to?
where just
Yeah.
in the car and you constantly have to pull over and you're throwing up, and people don't know if you had a rough night last night, and it's just like, no,
Yep.
I just can't stop it.
Yep. There can be so much judgment centered around it, unfortunately. If you didn't have CBS, how do you imagine your life being different?
Um, right now, I think I'm going through a stage where, personally, I've always been a person that has, tried to grow in my career, grow with my son, so to speak, and just be involved in everything. Um, and with CVS takes that away from you. It truly does. It takes it's a thief. It takes a lot. It takes a lot away from you.
It's a good way to describe it. And it just gave me chills because it's so incredibly true. It really does take a lot away from you. I've never had anyone describe it as a thief, but that's a really good description, actually. Let's see. Um, and what would you want someone who doesn't really understand anything about CBS, as you talked about with your family, if there's one thing or a couple things you could get them to try to understand, what would that be about what it's like to live with it, to live with CBS?
I think, like I said, I have a great support system. So they see the physical effects, they see the weight loss, they see how weak you are, they see those things, but they don't the mental impact of it. I went from being a person that was just like so independent. I mean, I felt like, I can, if it needed to be done, I was going to do it, to a person that literally, like, if my fiance would be in the other room and I would be in the bedroom, it's like I can't function. It's like I need you here. It's like I don't want you to leave me. And as much as they love you, I don't think that they understand that transition from how you used to be to how you are with CVS. You become a different person. And even when you're episode free, it's something that doesn't leave you. So of course your family, right? The first thing they want to do, they want to push you, right? They want to see that energetic person that we used to have around. That person that, used to be shouting, I need this done, I need that done. So I would say patience, patience, and just really patience and understanding, and just continue to be supportive, because it's a long, hard road, and it just doesn't stop. So even being a month episode free, you still go through so many things, because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, is today going to be today? Is today going to be the day? Is this moment going to be the moment? Because when you suffer from CVS, obviously, I mean, I've been having a great morning, but 2 hours from right now, my life can be, totally in an uproar again. So it's just, and as a CVS sufferer, you constantly have that in the back of your mind. So, right, when you have something in the back of your mind, that's kind of how you proceed. So, and it shows.
Yeah. So do you feel like the um mental health aspect of it might be what the impact that people don't see? Like you said, you have a great support system, but they don't understand that it's kind of always still there for you. Like, do you feel like that is like what impacts you the most?
I think that would be the biggest impact, because I think people, well, everybody wants it to be over. I want it to be over. Your family and your friends want it to be over. But with CVS, it's never over.
Mm-hmm.
It's truly never over. So it's a constant mental strain on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes it Makes perfect sense. If you could go back to the beginning of your CVS journey, what advice would you give yourself?
What advice would I give myself? I would say do it now. Do it now, don't wait. And as hard as CVS is, I think that's one of the positives, if you can say positives, that I've actually got out of that is do it now. Don't wait. Do it now. Because you just don't know.
Yeah. It's a good motto to live by. Definitely. CVS or not, I think. But definitely with CVS, because like you said, you never know when it's gonna hit. Excuse me. You talked about this a little bit before with having to leave your job, but is there any other specific impacts in your life that you feel that any other specific impact that you feel CVS has had on your life besides having to leave your job? So I assume you said you worked for Praxair, you're not working at all?
I'm not working at all. So I guess the biggest impact for me is that me and my son have always had a really close relationship. And my son he's heavily into football. He has been for a very long time. So, and I'm a football mom. So I never missed a game since he was 9 years old. So when I was suffering from CVS before I was diagnosed, it was his last year of high school. And I pretty much, I missed it all. I spent every week in the hospital. And when he would have breaks in between, like lunch breaks at school, he would be up there in the hospital with me. And I just felt like at that point in my life, when I felt like I should have been there the most for him, I couldn't. And even though I know it's not my fault, I carry that with me. It's something that I can't let go of. So
Yeah. That's such a hard thing as a parent when you feel like you can't be there for them, for anything, whether it's sports or school or anything that's going on in their life. It's mom guilt, right?
it's mom guilt.
Mom guilt doesn't,
even though you try not to. I think we as moms sometimes think we're superwoman, though we can do it all. But
yep.
CVS taught me something quite different.
No, for sure. And so, Keyonna, how do you feel that CVSA helped you, and if they did, how?
So I think a lot of us go through this. So when you get a diagnosis, it's like, yay. But when it's CVS, you're like, what? There's like absolutely limited information, if any, depending on where you live at. And the information you get from the doctors are usually, people have it that smoke weed. If you stop smoking weed, you won't have CVS. And it's like, that's not my story. So you don't have any resources. You don't have any help. You don't have that medical support that you're looking for. And I'm the type of person that I'm like, I'm going to Google this. I'm going to start researching. I'm going to find the doctors. I am not going to live my life with something and not know about it. And it's not that easy with CVS. So when I found CVSA, oh my God, I tell my family and my friends, it's like, I love y'all, but having this organization and having people and doctors and experts, because you become an expert, right? Even if you suffer, if your child suffers, you become an expert. Having those people and just being able to send a text message. I mean, a few weeks ago, literally, I was back and forth with somebody that I met in the organization on social media. We were up till 3:30 in the morning, just going back and forth, So just having that's just that's a support system that I can't even explain. I can't even tell you how valuable, you know, that is to someone that suffers from CVS. I mean, just having someone to be able to say, oh yeah, I know exactly, I know exactly what you mean. And then things that you don't think about. I know I personally was getting ready for a test that usually would seem pretty normal, but I was so scared because I thought it was going to be a trigger. So being able to go somewhere and just like pose questions to people and just get information from them, it helped me a lot. And you suffer anxiety too, so that's another thing. And anxiety, again, is a trigger. So I've been helped tremendously, tremendously.
Great. I'm glad you found us. And lastly, I'm going to ask you, if you had one word to describe CVS, what would it be?
CVS is a savage. Savage. I mean, in every sense of the word, it's a savage.
That's a good word to describe it.